Ladies and gentlemen, WrestleMania weekend has come and gone, and it is in the history books. We had some crazy nights of wrestling, a little controversial stuff. We're going to talk about all of it in the next two videos here. I'm going to be uploading my full in-depth reviews for WrestleMania. Night 2 is going to be coming right after this, so please make sure to go watch that and look out for that. But this is my official Night 1 review. In this review, I'm going to be talking about everything to do with WrestleMania Night 1. I'm going to talk about everything that happened. I'm going to give you all the results. I'm going to give you my thoughts on everything that happened. I'm going to go as in-depth as I can with WrestleMania Night 1, and then I'm going to let you know my overall thoughts. But again, be sure to stay tuned to my YouTube channel because Night 2 is going to be coming shortly after this. With that being said, let's get into WrestleMania Night 1. Kicking off the show, we had the match that I think everybody knew was going to kick off the show. It was Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. In terms of what we got in this match, I feel like WWE didn't fully deliver what was possible for this match. I didn't think it was a bad match by any means, but I do think it was missing a certain something, and I think it could have benefited from going a little bit longer as well. I think you could have incorporated the story a little bit more of Jey Uso struggling to kind of get his footing against Gunther. You could have that be the start of the match, have Gunther really work over Jey a lot more than he did before going into what we eventually got, which is more of the back and forth stuff, and then Jey starting to dominate towards the end. Again, this match wasn't terrible. I thought it was a decent match, but I think it could have benefited from just a little bit more in terms of the story being told in the match. And of course, the finish was what we all expected. Main event, Jey Uso winning the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm not going to complain about it too much because I already knew it was going to happen, and we're just going to have to see what that reign looks like in terms of a Jey Uso title reign. But I don't really like the finish of the match. I didn't like how Gunther tapped out so easily and so quickly to Jey Uso. I just wasn't a big fan. I would have been a much bigger fan if Jey Uso just hit the 3 splashes that he hit and then pinned Gunther for the win. I think that would have been a lot better of a finish than kind of making Gunther look a little bit weak, tapping out so easy to his own move. Again, I know some people liked it, some people hated it. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of in the camp where it didn't bother me too much, but I do wish it was a pinfall victory and not a submission victory. Either way, Jey Uso wins the World Heavyweight Championship, and I guess we'll have to see where things go from here for main event Jey Uso and also for Gunther. I'm also really interested to see where Gunther goes from here because we haven't seen a lot of Gunther in WWE when he isn't fighting for some kind of prize, whether it be the Intercontinental title or the King of the Ring or the World Heavyweight Championship. We haven't really seen Gunther outside of like a prize fighting role. So I'm really interested to see what we do with Gunther going forward. Following this, we had the longest advertisement for Clash of Clans in history. We had the New Day versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team Championships. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I didn't pay the most attention to this match. I did a little bit, but I was also, looking at Twitter, doing all these other things, making food while this match was happening. I wasn't fully invested into this match because I honestly didn't really care about it. From what I did catch, I think the in-ring action was decent. It wasn't like a bad match. I don't think anyone was expecting these 4 guys to put on like a bad wrestling match. But again, it was like a really good Monday Night Raw match. To have it on WrestleMania just felt honestly absurd. And again, I think we found out the reason why it was on WrestleMania over the Street Profits, which is this made for a better Clash of Clans ad, which I think is absolutely absurd because at that point you're really damaging the quality and you're prioritizing your advertisements over actual quality content. I get it, WWE is a publicly traded company and TKO is also a publicly traded company and you gotta please the sponsors and shareholders. I get that. So I guess this is fine. In the end, the New Day win the World Tag Team Championships, which wasn't something I was predicting. But again, clear cut dry, no big angle, no big E, anything like that. Just a straightforward match and the New Day just win the tag team titles. Pretty underwhelming. Let's go to the match that honestly I was the least looking forward to in this entire WrestleMania, which is Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Look, the reason why I was least looking forward to it was the fact that It wasn't the story. I think the story was really good. It was actually probably one of the better built WrestleMania matches this year. So it wasn't necessarily the story that was deterring me. It was the fact that we haven't really seen Jade Cargill in big single spotlights in terms of in-ring. And she hadn't really yet proven what she could deliver in the ring outside of her tag team with Bianca. I also didn't know if Naomi was really going to be able to carry Jade Cargill to a really good match. But I was pleasantly surprised. I was very happily wrong, and this was honestly one of the better matches of the evening. Jade Cargill versus Naomi really delivered. These ladies were doing some really cool stuff, back and forth action in the ring, a lot of really cool spots. The story was pretty cut and dry, pretty basic in the ring, but again, nothing that bothered me. I thought this match was actually really good. We had a really cool spot of catching Naomi mid-air into a jackhammer. That was pretty sick. Overall, the match really impressed me, and honestly, I was really happy with it. Jade Cargill did win, which I think everybody saw coming, and I'm interested to see where both these ladies go next, but this was honestly pretty good. I have no complaints about this. Next up, we had the United States Championship, Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. I want to preface by saying this. This is going to be a common theme that I'm going to say for these matches for WrestleMania Night 1 of it was pretty cut and dry, pretty basic in terms of, storytelling and in terms of drama and in terms of any sort of angle or anything like that, because this WrestleMania was really lacking that in general. That being said, I will say Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight was a really good in-ring match. They had really good chemistry in the ring. Jacob Fatu was pulling out some crazy shit. It was a really, really, really good match in ring. In the end, Jacob Fatu pins LA Knight to win the United States Championship. Pretty cut and dry. Solo didn't even show up to celebrate in the end. There was really nothing. It was, Jacob Fatu won the championship and then we're on to the next match. Not saying I was expecting this big, life-altering angle post-match. I did predict that maybe you have Solo turn on Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania to create a big angle, but they didn't even so much as have Solo and Tama come out and celebrate with Jacob Fatu. It was literally just Jacob Fatu won the title and that was it. There was really not a lot of drama to this, not a lot of, anything really. It was just a straightforward, good wrestling match and then on to the next. And so far, that's all this WrestleMania has really been. It's just been good in-ring action and then on to the next. Nothing really beyond that, and very bland in terms of a WrestleMania feel. Next on the card, we had Rey Mysterio, who was taken out of WrestleMania due to an unfortunate injury, replaced by Rey Fenix, going up against El Grande Americano. Again, the in-ring stuff here was pretty good, as you would expect from these two guys. Obviously, both guys can work, both guys can go, and you knew both guys were going to deliver a really good match. This match only really acted as a kind of advertisement for WWE's acquisition of AAA that they announced on the kickoff show. So I can see why now they decided to put this match on the card, and even when Rey Mysterio got injured, keep it as Rey Fenix, because obviously they were going to use this as promotional material for this big announcement. And that's really all this was, because it was pretty cut and dry. El Grande Americano uses the loaded mask to headbutt Rey Fenix and win the match. It was cut and dry. No unmasking, no post-match angle, no nothing. It was just, El Grande Americano cheats to win, and that's it. I wasn't really expecting anything else. Once Rey got taken out of the match, I knew El Grande Americano was probably going to win. I just wish, there was a little bit more to this. And unfortunately, the El Grande Americano storyline continues. Next up, we had something I had incredibly high hopes for. We had Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. This was one of those things that I think a lot of people were expecting to be a really good in-ring affair, so they didn't really care that the build-up to this was good. And honestly, we didn't get that. Now, look, I'm not going to go ahead and say that this match was bad because I don't think it necessarily was. I know there's a lot of people saying, like, oh, this match was terrible. Here's what I think. I think many people, like myself included, placed way too high of expectations on this match. I think we expected it to be, this in-ring classic, this show stealer, this match of the night kind of thing. And the reality was, it wasn't that. It just was a decent in-ring match between these two, and it got a little clunky at moments. In the end, Tiffany Stratton did retain, which I was very, very happy to see. I think I would have been even more devastated if the match was just mid and then Charlotte Flair won. I think I would have been incredibly devastated. But thank goodness that Triple H had the mind to make the right call and to have Tiffany Stratton go over on Charlotte Flair. Because I will say, Tiffany Stratton came out of this thing looking like a badass. She looked absolutely fantastic coming out of this match. And I'm actually excited for her reign going forward because of how great she looked in this match. Interested to see what's on next for Charlotte. I hope Charlotte and Tiffany don't decide to run it back to try to fix this. I think they need to stay away from each other for a little while. But I am really excited to see where both women go going forward. Overall, it was decent, but nothing to really go crazy about. Speaking of going crazy, we are on to the main event. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. A lot of people are calling this the savior of the show, and honestly, they're not wrong. CM Punk had a fantastic entrance where he had a video package with This Fire Burns playing in the back, which was pretty nostalgic and pretty awesome. Then being walked to the ring by Paul Heyman with Living Color performing him to the ring, Cult of Personality. And they sounded great. The entrance was absolutely fantastic and really helped with the big fight feel. Now I know what everybody wants to talk about is the big post-match angle, but what I don't want to shy away from is the fact that before any of the crazy angle happened, this triple threat match was fire. All three of these men work incredibly well together, and they were showcasing that for like the first 15-ish minutes of the match. They were all really just going everything they had, going hardcore, balls to the wall, and they delivered a really, really, really good triple threat match. This match was my match of the night before any of the craziness happened. Just the chemistry that these three have with each other is absolutely undeniable, and this was fantastic in-ring stuff. We had great announce table spots. We had that spot where it was like they were teasing the Shield bomb coming back, and Roman said, "Screw you, I'm not trusting you again," and he attacked Seth Rollins. All that stuff was really cool. And then, of course, we lead to like the final 5 minutes where the big stuff happened, where Paul Heyman grabs a chair and he has to make a choice. Will he pass it to CM Punk or will he pass it to Roman Reigns? This was the moment of truth, and I'll be honest, when he passed it to CM Punk, I thought that was all we were going to get. Maybe I was a little narrow-minded because I thought, okay, now we're going to move the Punk and Roman feud forward, but Paul Heyman's going to be with Punk. That's what I always thought was going to happen. And then we got the big twist of Paul Heyman low-blowing CM Punk and giving the chair to Roman Reigns. Again, I didn't think anything else was going to happen. It was in the back of my mind of like, oh, is he going to join Seth? But at the end of the day, I'm like, oh no, it's just to build the Punk-Roman feud, and these distractions are going to cost them, like I predicted in my predictions video. But then Roman was setting up that final chair shot on Seth, and Paul Heyman low-blowed Roman Reigns, turning on his tribal chief for the first time in 5 years and joining Seth Rollins. To be honest, I don't know how I feel about this yet. It was cool stuff. It was cool swerves, and it had me mind blown when it was happening. I was invested. But to be honest, I'm not really going to put too much into this right now. I really want to see how they follow this up tonight on Monday Night Raw and kind of see how the story goes forward. Because honestly, I didn't know what Seth Rollins as a Paul Heyman guy looks like. And I still don't know. And I'm interested to find out. But ladies and gentlemen, that was night one of WrestleMania in a nutshell. Quite honestly, this was like WrestleMania 27 levels of bad. This was not a good show. Yes, the triple threat in the main event was awesome, but everything else was just pretty bare bones. And I'm going to touch on this in my night 2 video as well, but a lot of people might think I sound hypocritical when saying like, oh, it's really basic, you know, we don't have any like big angles or anything like that, when I've also credited to saying that like wrestling doesn't always need big angles to be good. I'm going to clarify it right now. This is what I need. I need good stories, good angles, and good finishes. That's all I'm looking for. And honestly, this show really didn't deliver a whole lot of that. They delivered a lot of good finishes, and they delivered a lot of good matches, like in ring. But like there was no angles. I don't mean like earth-shattering angles like the main event one, just any sort of angle, just anything. There was really nothing to really move any stories forward. There was no post-match angles. Everything was cut and dry and was just, you know, basic. The work in ring was good, but honestly, I don't like shows that are just, you know, straight good wrestling matches. I need some reason to be invested. I think it also didn't help that all the matches with like the good storylines and the good stories going into the match, most of them were put on night 2. WWE put all these matches that not a lot of people care about on night 1, and they put all of their like worst storylines going into WrestleMania on night 1, and I don't think that benefited it. Honestly, it's really hard for me to rank this show because the main event was great, and you know what they say, it's how you leave them, and they left me very happy. That being said, though, I'm gonna have to say that this show is like a 4 out of 10. And I think all 4 of those points really go for the main event. For Gunther versus Jay, I'm not one of those people that was really clamoring for Jey Uso to win the World Heavyweight Championship, so that moment didn't really move me. And if that moment moved you, I'm happy for you, and I'm not going to judge you for that because I know there's a lot of Jey Uso fans out there. So I'm happy you got your moment if that was a moment that really moved you, if that was a moment that was really special to you. To me, it wasn't really that moving, so it didn't really help my opinion of this show very much. I thought that it was a decent match. I thought the finish was predictable. And I thought that for most of the show. Again, there was really nothing for me to really cling on to on WrestleMania Night 1 besides that main event. And I was really underwhelmed by it. Anyway, that is my Night 1 review, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay tuned for my Night 2 review coming right after this. I will see you guys in the next video.